Good morning and welcome to Season Naira, the platform where we speak truth to power. I've often spoken about the issue of the dollar becoming something that is being used extensively on in Nigeria, and that is really not acceptable. It really is a problem
Recording
because
stopped.
you will shortly hear a lot of what I've been saying, that the more we use the dollar in Nigeria, the worse, the weaker the Naira becomes. And that is actually harming our own economy. Bearing in mind that our people in the villages and everything else use the Naira, we are simply making their lives more difficult. We are just simply making their lives more difficult. And I don't know, I've said this time and again, our policy, I understand the government is trying to policy whereby they're going to make sure the naira is only, the naira against the dollar is only by $1, 1 naira and 25 kobo for $1, which would be a favorable rate. But the journey from getting from where we are now to there is not very, very clear to us. And it seems as though the policy that's being adopted right now is trying to encourage more dollar usage in our economy. That is going to destroy our economy. And you're going to hear one of the financial experts come and talk about this on channels. Let's have a listen.
Hey, welcome back. Well, yes, indeed, we've seen several. We all know how we are taking a hit. The economy, we know some policies have been put in place, set in motion by the government to see how they can mitigate or reduce, cushion the effects of the fuel subsidy removal. There's a panel that has been set up by the government to ensure
the best way to cushion this fuel subsidy removal is simply fix the refineries. Fix the 4 refineries. I know it's in the pipeline. I know that Angelele Ajuri Ngelele or whatever, I think, he's said that the government is planning to actually fix Warri and Kaduna. But they should all the 4 refineries should be fixed as a matter of urgency. This is having a major. This is our economy is heavily reliant on the exports of the oil and the process for revenue. But we could also generate revenue by processing it as well. We will increase our revenue. It's a win-win. Importing, processed oil is just it's actually hurting our economy and and the nation and the people. So for me, it's not about giving palliatives. It's about fixing refineries. That's the best best solution to solve this issue of subsidies to fuel. Fix the refineries. The refineries will produce oil. It will drop the price. Just dancing around it doesn't make sense to me. But let's listen on.
harmonize taxes and address that. For decades now, we've been talking about multiple taxation. Manufacturers, several people have lamented in terms of what needs to be done, how it is crippling businesses. So yes, Mr. Taiwo Yedile was with us a couple of days ago to just give us an update on what the committee is doing so far. So we're looking to the presidency now to see how they sign off on that first batch of what they've done. But some more agenda to be set for them here to bring to the attention of the president and the presidential committee. Mr. Derego Williams joins us now. He's an economist and global strategist. Good morning, and thank you for joining us on the program here today. Okay, so.
Good morning to you, Chamberlain.
Okay,
and,
so.
Michael,
yeah.
And Algo and Bukola. Thank you for having me.
Okay, so you have been, you did watch that interview yourself, and about that committee, in terms of what you heard Mr. Oyedele say about the efforts so far, would you say, at least from your perspective, also being in some practice experience yourself, how much success from what you have heard him say should we expect?
You know, Mr. Taiwo Ayodele is a very smart individual. And I think he has a good handle on the matter pertaining to the tax reform and then the fiscal policy review as well. It was on your show, as you said, on Monday, and it was talking about how to eliminate the artificial demand for dollars as part of the key strategy for strengthening the Naira. I wasn't sure if it stripped him, but I think that I saw.
Let us, at this point, we're going to talk about that. Let me go and give you the current rate now. The current rate of Naira, dollar against the Naira as we speak. Let me just give you that quickly. So for $1, 1 Naira, 1 Naira, 1 Naira to $1, 1 Naira to dollar. Sorry. 1 Naira to dollar. So let's look at that. So I'm just trying to, what they're talking about, because I like to bring these kind of things up. See, that's the rate of the Naira. So for 1 Naira, yeah, with all whatever changes you're making, 1 Naira is only worth 0.0013 of a cent. 0.0013 of a cent of the dollar. Of a cent, 1 cent. So our resources are worthless. Whatever we're selling in terms of oil prices is worthless. It doesn't make any sense to continue to peg our Naira to the dollar. We must delink it. We need to ensure that our currency it begins to assume the legal tender that it is. That position of being the legal tender is acceptable only, the only one acceptable in our country. Anything else, we're making things worse for our people on ground. Because the more you accept the dollar, the weaker the Naira becomes. You will hear the man on the broadcast talk about it. Something D. Williams, something like that. Beg your pardon if I didn't get that first name right. Let's carry on.
At some point, he may be able to revisit that particular point, which is that the biggest culprit in this artificial demand arena, dollar demand arena, is the CBN.
The CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria.
That inbound remittances must be settled in dollars.
Did you hear that? The CBN is the biggest culprit, and inbound remittances must be settled in dollars. We are throwing away our money, giving the money away back to and back for the US to use in their own economy. This doesn't make. This is financial insanity. But let's listen on.
By the banks. And this has been going on for about 17 or so years.
17 or so years now.
Sorry, close to 20 years.
20 years.
In other words, if somebody remitted dollars to you through the bank, through Western Union, the bank are obligated to pay you dollars. And then you will take the dollars to the black market and exchange it in order to get more Naira. But here's the problem.
Listen.
Firstly, dollar is not a legal tender in Nigeria.
It is not.
Number two,
Central Bank of Nigeria reports.
If the country wants to adopt dollars as a legal tender, the National Assembly has to pass the relevant laws to that effect.
Exactly.
It is practically beyond the purview of the CBN to create a different legal tender.
Exactly.
Number three.
See, these are points.
It creates an artificial demand for
the
dollars, thereby causing the Naira
to fall,
to lose value.
It's crazy.
Number four.
It's insanity. Don't know what that is. Give me 1 second. I'm quite sure what that is. I'm just going to meet that quickly. Do beg your pardon. I was trying to get this done, but it just wasn't happening this morning. So give me a minute, please. 1 minute.
currency substitution or currency preference, a phenomenon that's usually associated with wartime economy. Number 7, it has fueled an underground speculative economy.
Underground speculative economy.
With
See,
about $50 billion
$50 billion
under mattresses.
under
According
mattresses.
to one financial.
$50 billion under mattresses. 50 billion. Wow. Because of the CBN adopting this illegal policy that actually runs counter against our Naira being our legal tender. It's insanity.
Experts. And the plethora of issues, are almost endless. So how do we get there? How do we get to this dollar settlement problem?
Yeah.
For remittances?
Mm-hmm.
We got there back in 2023. Sorry, 2003, I'm sorry.
2003, yes.
Western Union entered the Nigerian market back in 1995. By 2003, their market intelligence has revealed to them that some of the indigenous remittance companies were competing them in the area of exchange rates. So in other words, these companies were paying more Naira per dollar than the Western Union.
So Mr. Williams, pardon me if I could just butt in there. So does that mean that all of their competitors who saw how these policies came through and the impact it has on the Naira did absolutely nothing about it? They didn't bring it to the attention of the authorities if they missed it?
Well, it was brought to the attention of the authorities. But, the issue was that Soludo then was the governor of the central bank. And then those things were not, of interest to him, incidentally and unfortunately.
Of interest to him.
So the problem continued.
So they ignore problems and they think everything is fine. If you ignore a problem, it doesn't go away. It just gets worse.
Persists till this day.
So all of those challenges notwithstanding, and then the measures that the government plans to take, or perhaps if you address this, how much impact will that have? I mean, can we substitute that with ensuring that we focus on what some economists also say, look, some of the basic things we need to do here is to ensure we pay attention to manufacturing in this country. That if we do that, the huge demand for Forex will be greatly reduced.
Here's my take on that question. You can manufacture as much as you want. You can't manufacture yourself out of this imbalance of using a foreign currency to replace your local currency. It just won't work. It's a crazy idea. Yes, we need manufacturing, but the manufacturing has to be based on our local legal currency. I'm sure you're probably asking a question, but I'm sure you know that. Yeah. Anyway, have a listen.
Well, as a growing economy, you'd always have demand for forex. The more you grow, the more demand.
Yeah, Chamberlain. Yeah. So you're asking a question, I suppose. It's manufacturing. Yes, we need manufacturing, but if we do not fix this link of Naira and break the link between dollar and Naira permanently, our economy will take a long time to even grow in Nigeria.
For forex, it's just inevitable. Mm-hmm. It's like the energy that you would need to produce a particular set of goods. If you increase your capacity, your energy consumption also goes up. Mm-hmm. So it's inevitable that as you grow the economy, your demand for forex would also increase. So the issue here is that it's not about the quantity of dollars that you need, right? But your ability to generate exports and to attract foreign capital into your arena. And as long as you're able to do that, once your macroeconomic variables are in place, then all those things are going to, work in your favor. So manufacturing, increasing manufacture or increasing exports, practically means that you're expanding your own productivity. Mm-hmm. And the more you expand your productivity, the more you would need, forex, because you're also generating dollars as well, or foreign exchange as well. So it's a matter of some dollars coming in and some dollars going out as well. But, net, if it is positive for you, then that's fine.
Okay, so at the moment, the policies that the government has put in place to ensure that all of these things are working, are you optimistic that we will get some results at the end of the day?
Well, the first thing you would do is to look at your macroeconomic variables. When you look at your exchange rates, right, even till now, after the president has made the pronouncement for the two markets to merge, the two parallel markets are
Keep
still
an
there.
eye on this.
The two markets are still there, operating side by side.
That's what's impacting us.
Market, and then they have the parallel market, all right? Now, what that means is that, firstly, the government is losing revenue, okay?
Seriously?
Because you are selling the commodity below its market
price.
Number two, it's impeding capital inflow because the capital inflow must be recorded or must be transacted through the official window. And the official window today says that for every dollar, the equivalent in Naira is 788 Naira, okay? Whereas in the real market, the parallel market, which I call the real market, is about 930, Naira to the dollar.
See?
So people are going to be a little bit more disinclined towards making that capital inflow under those circumstances. So it's important for the government to quickly and without any hesitation merge those two markets. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example. Mm-hmm. If you have $100 on you, it's a rhetorical question. If you have $100 on you and you want to convert it to Naira, where do you go? Certainly not the banks. You go to
black market,
the street trader to exchange it and get Naira because the street trader is giving you more Naira. All right, so the pricing mechanism must be able to reflect market such that you, with that $100, instead of going to the street trader, you walk straight into your bank and you're able to convert it to Naira at that prevailing market rate. So until those two things merge and until there's a single window for transacting foreign exchange, this economy is going nowhere.
It's right.
And it's something they have to do without hesitation.
Immediately.
Absolutely, without hesitation. It has to be done like yesterday. And the process is very simple.
If I may come in here, yes. What you're asking to be done, some might say it would require a lot of work to the extent of looking into the structure of our banking system.
Yes, everything.
Sorry, say that again, please.
Okay, what you're suggesting, or what the solution you put out there about merging the two markets that are running side by side right now.
Yeah.
Some will say if you're saying it should be done as quickly as possible, there are those who will argue that this might require looking into our banking system. I mean, to say that I have $100 and I want to change, I can just walk into the bank and I'll change and I'll walk out. Some might say it might require a lot of work, and doesn't look like they're ready to look into the banking system in Nigeria to make that difference. Do you agree?
Well, I think, part of that is psychological, right? Because we need to demystify
Thank you.
the foreign currency. The dollars.
Thank you.
Demystify it.
This man is speaking my language. This guy is speaking we have to demystify it. We are putting dollar on a pedestal against our currency. And that's a psychological imprint that's been put on our mind from colonization and, of course, enslavement. And we need to break that down. This man is on point. Let's go ahead.
Commodities, almost like going to the market to buy Gary. Once we have that particular dispensation, then it's going to be easy for us to deal with the dollars or with the foreign currency in that manner. Somebody walks into a bank, he puts up his dollars over the counter, the cashier looks at it. If it is genuine, you exchange it and give them the Naira equivalent at the prevailing market rate. That way, that dollar gets into the mainstream of the banking system so that it can be used to import capital goods and services. And that is the thing that this country needs, that is in dire need of. If you look at the cumulative effect over the last 40 years, of this rate disparity or market disparity.
Just keep looking.
We
some need to
experts
take action. Keep looking at that.
The opportunity
understand what that
to the
means.
Economy is over $1 trillion in the past 40 years. Over $1 trillion, and that is not, nothing to be considered small. And we've had the likes of Carlo back in 1986, with a superior economic mind, who had adjudicated this matter and said, let the rates merge. And the rates actually converged. But somehow the rent seekers came in, and then they tore the thing apart, and so we still have those two parallel markets. The markets must come together. It's a must. Mm-hmm. Without that, we are going nowhere. Economically. If you look at it now, even our per capita GDP, right? Some people are saying it's about $2,500. But in real terms, it is about $1,200. That's our per capita GDP. It's very low.
Okay.
Too low.
Mr. Williams, just real quick here. We're talking about the banking structure, but let's look at this other side about manufacturing. I know Chimlin asked that question earlier. Practically every manufacturer in the country has to import the components they need for their manufacturing, and these are priced in dollars. Even the resources we need in terms of crude and the gas that we need is also priced in dollars. So how would you expect that all of this will work to move the Nigerian economy to where it needs to be? You know what? You could answer that question when we come back from this break. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back, and then Mr. Williams, you please weigh in on that question.
All right, okay, thank you.
So, give me a second. Okay, we'll continue with the broadcast. Let's hear this section.
Marine and Blue Economy, Adegoyiga Oyetola, appears to have hit the ground running with a tour of facilities of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, in Lagos. There is no better way to welcome him than to show him around the agency's new edifice on Victoria Island. According to the Director General of NIMASA, in the last year, the agency has acquired 4 other major property across the country.
These offices are multi-billion Naira offices. And with the exception of Port Harcourt and Abuja, we all paid off, and we are not owing any one of them.
The minister seems impressed, but calls for proper maintenance culture.
What is important is to ensure that you have a very good sense of maintenance. Most times you have very good properties, but in a few years after, you get there and you're disappointed.
As we journey on water to the next port of call, the Maritime House,
just be with us, please.
One could not but imagine the huge coastal resources available to a country with a coastline measuring 853 kilometers. The minister's assignment at the Maritime House is to have an interactive session with the staff of the agency. He looks forward to when Nigeria's shipping and fishery industry will take their rightful positions.
Good thinking.
The fishing industry in Nigeria is actually dominated by foreigners.
See that? You see?
Take it from here to perhaps Cameroon.
You see?
And bring it back to us as imported fish.
You see?
And I realized that I think about 2 years.
Every area,
CBN spends not less than about 4 billion.
every sector. That's exactly what's happening. They take our resources, bring it back, and they say it's imported fish, and they charge us. The whole oil, and we're going back to the oil issue, what the guy was talking about before. I mean, the dollar issue. You know, our mentality is that everything foreign is better than ours. And that mentality is due to colonization and slavery. And we need to break away from it. It's all psychological, like the man said. And that psychology we need to confront and defeat. Let's go forward.
$1 on imported fish.
Other facilities visited include the ongoing construction site of Nimasa Skill Acquisition Center, the Search and Rescue Clinic, as well as its operational base.
I'm impressed with what I've seen so far. And I think we are really ready for the marine and blue economy, in the real sense of it. Where we have issues and there, we are going to look at them with a view of ensuring that we're able to really prepare the ministry for the challenges ahead.
Coastal tourism, renewable energy, marine technology are a few other areas of the blue economy. To get these effectively harnessed, the country must continue to invest in ensuring the security and safety of its waterways. Chris Elems, Channels Television News.
So 1 second right there. Let me just do something here. 1 second. Before we go too far ahead, I really want you to please, as you're watching, always take the time to subscribe to Season AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Help us subscribe, grow the platform, and reach more people. Please, we appreciate your support. Let's do that. Help us do that. Thank you. Okay, so now let's 1 second.
Welcome back. We're still talking to Mr. Derego Williams, an economist.
Okay, let's listen on.
On the situation in Nigeria.
Derego Williams.
The multiple currency markets we have there. Mr. Williams, if you can remember, the last question I asked you before we went on that break had to do with the conversation around merging the multiple markets platforms we have, so to speak. And I directed it at manufacturing, seeing that in the manufacturing sector in Nigeria, almost all the inputs that are needed by the manufacturer are imported and priced in the dollar.
Yeah, they're all interlinked.
How would that work when you say we should collapse all these things, and how would it affect manufacturing quickly?
Okay. Well, you have to look at the components of the process of manufacture, right? One of the major components of manufacture is energy. The energy cost here is very high. Reason being that the national grid itself is epileptic. Power doesn't come steadily. And so the manufacturers spend on the average between 30 cents to 60 cents per kilowatt hour generating their private electricity. And that is a major cost component of manufacture. You know, when you look at other clients like Rwanda and Gambia, those are our neighbors here, you will find out that they have power 24/7.
See that?
And why is that? Nigeria doesn't have power 24/7. Why does Gambia, and why do Gambia and Rwanda have power 24/7? And the reason is very simple. It's a pricing mechanism. Here we've decided to adopt what we call the cost-reflective tariff structure, which was, borrowed hook, line, and sinker from Egypt, a land of multiple subsidies. The land of 1,000 subsidies, as they have, 1,000 pharaohs. And they brought it here without looking at the reality on the ground. In Nigeria, the private sector itself has accumulated over 9,000 megawatts of generating capacity. Almost double or triple the national grid level.
You see?
And they are spending, on the average, about $22 billion running, the power infrastructure for themselves.
Wow.
But here, the pricing structure for grid power, ranges from 2 cents per kilowatt hour to 9 cents. No serious investor would come in and do that for you. They're not here to make losses. So until we also get a pricing mechanism right for electricity, we are also going nowhere. Now, when you look at what we did with the gas, back in 1999 when the LNG started, that was the first gas development projects the country ever embarked upon. All right? And what did they do? They decided to export the gas. We need energy. This country needs energy to develop. Why are we exporting our gas to foreigners to sustain other people's economies? Why not use it internally? And today we're also going to install the 7th or the Train 7 of the LNG. And that too is a problem. We're struggling with about 1 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day, when essentially we need about 5 billion standard cubic feet of gas per day just to run
why export? They're making
the energy sector as well as the manufacture, industrial and commercial sectors.
It doesn't make economic sense.
As well.
Yes.
So these are the issues. So the country has to be serious about energy, and the way you deal with energy under today's environment is to make sure that the pricing mechanism is reflective of the market. If I'm paying 30 cents per kilowatt hour generating my own personal power, right? And if the grid power, NEPA in other words, in quotes, offers it to me at 25 cents, I should be happy. Not 9 cents, not 2 cents. 2 cents doesn't make any sense. These guys are not here to give you, a service or provide you energy, under subsidy. Why is it that anytime the government is involved in the supply chain of a commodity, they have a subsidy? Why do they do that?
Exactly.
They introduce subsidies. Why do they do that? They do subsidy on petrol until they got us to the point where we couldn't sustain it. They do subsidy on gas. They do subsidy on electricity.
It's crazy.
Why? And the pricing mechanism in our economic system is a fundamental key issue. Until you get it right, you cannot go anywhere. The pricing mechanism must reflect market so that it will be able to allocate the scarce economic resources appropriately. But once you miss that point, right, your economy is going nowhere.
Curl up and die.
Simply. Sorry about that. 1 second.
And when you say that, for instance, we should contribute, we should focus some of our resources, like for instance, Nigeria LNG, should focus their resources, their energies into supplying the domestic market. And I think I remember also that the NLNG has said that they are going to prioritize quite some of their productions into the Nigerian market just to ensure that there is gas availability. But do you also factor in the fact that since 2008, according to NLNG themselves, they have contributed no less than 4% of Nigeria's annual GDP, and that they actually also make, I was trying to find out the exact figure, that they also contribute in terms of remittances to the federal coffers. Is that, suggestion you are making with prejudice, with or without prejudice to those facts as well, the contribution of that company as a Nigerian company to Nigeria itself?
Sorry, Ayo, I could barely hear a word of what you were saying. Is there any way the guys in Abuja can relay the question to me? Because they are coming to me loud and clear.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Okay, yeah, okay, let's try again then.
Okay, well, I was asking, when you talked about Nigeria LNG focusing their activities on supplying the domestic market, remember that by selling to these other nations, as you have said, they have contributed since 2008, according to their own facts and figures, no less than 4% to Nigeria's GDP, and that quite some money is also remitted into the coffers of the Nigerian government over the years. Is that suggestion you're making with or without prejudice to that forex coming into the country from that company?
Okay. You know, the forex generation by the LNG is really a myth.
You see?
It's a myth.
It's a
You
myth.
know why? All right, so they export the gas, starve the domestic economy of gas, and then what happens? We spend another $18 billion importing generators and diesel.
Whoa!
And,
Did you hear?
petrol.
You see? And we have gas.
Generators. Plus the environmental impact as well.
My goodness.
You know, so to me, that LNG was a miscalculation.
Total miscalculation.
And I think anytime the white guy comes to us to say, do this and do that, right, we just follow through. That LNG is a miscalculation.
Total miscalculation.
And so when you say we're earning forex from it, you know, how much
we're paying more.
Federal government occasionally gets about $2.5 billion in dividend every so often per annum, compared to the $18 billion we're spending to import generators. And in this country, we have
18 billion generators. We are importing 18 billion
generators running.
70 million generators running.
Today would turn that spigot, that export spigot, back in imports, you know, for the domestic market. You see that power supply would improve. The economy would improve. In fact, what's holding up the economy from growing, right?
We told you.
Energy.
Yeah, there
energy.
You go. There you go.
Period. And you know, people used to brag that, oh, Nigeria was the biggest economy in Africa. That too is a myth.
It's a myth.
Nigeria is, you know, in reality, it's about number 2 or 3 on the continent of Africa. Because our per capita GDP is too low. You know, South Africa is about $5,000. Ours is about $1,200. All right. So these are the issues. You know, and then the country also went further to say that they want to do gas LNG as well as OKL LNG. To me, if the first LNG was an economic miscalculation, then the subsequent LNGs would be economic sabotage. And nobody should do LNG for exports again until we satisfy energy use or gas use in the domestic market. Until that happens, no export should take place.
So do you anticipate that Nigeria will be able to generate about the same quantum of revenue and GDP contribution with the suggestion you're making?
More than.
Certainly.
More than.
The energy is here.
It's not rocket science.
The human energy, right? It is here.
Sorry, this is not rocket science. We will more than be able to provide it. LNG should be part of our power, how we generate power. Countries around Europe are clamoring for the gas, and we are exporting it without having our own stable economy. You know, I said this on my broadcast. We need to make sure that we meet our own needs first before looking at helping others. You know, and in this case, the colonials. And this expert here, this guy here, Mr. Williams, is spot on. These are the kind of discussions we should be looking at. Did you hear what he said? 70 million generators with the environmental damage. Imagine if the gas was plowed into giving power in the economy. We will more than have enough power. Oh. Let's watch on.
The entrepreneurial energy is here. You know, what we lack is the ability to mobilize capital and then get into productive activities. You know, our rate of capital mobilization is about 15%.
Wow.
You know, a lot of people want to go into businesses, but because of the power, lack of power, they shelve it and maybe shelve it for an entire lifetime. And so these are the things that are, happening to us. So when you look at it cumulatively, right, the effect on the economy, or the thing that it extracts from the economy is in excess of, trillions of dollars.
Trillions.
Over, the last 40 years.
Trillions of dollars.
Just one quick one from me before my colleague Bukola comes in. Something you said the other time about also responding to questions from my colleagues.
I hope you guys are I hope people are really taking note of what this man has said here, because the information that he just provided now is so crucial, so fundamental to any economic development that we are planning or envisaging. Because without implementing the things he's suggesting, I imagine the various forex institutions and all that, making sure that our LNG is focused on our own internal markets first before going abroad outside. And making sure that this idea of linking, putting the dollar on the pedestal and making our Naira worthless, that mentality, to wake up from it. We can't go anywhere. Let's go ahead.
Only raised this question about what Mr. Idele told us the last time he was here, which you referenced earlier. And that's the fact that there are some agencies of government in Nigeria that have to collect their remittances into the federal coffers in dollars right here in Nigeria. I found that a little worrisome. Do you think it is worrisome?
Very worrisome.
That Nigerian companies in Nigeria have to pay taxes in dollars?
It's crazy.
Yeah, that is worrisome. Again,
very worrisome. Crazy. It's not even a question.
What is the legal tender in this country?
There you go.
Legal tender in this country is Naira. And so anytime we digress from that perspective and begin to engage in activities that are
when anybody is saying they want stuff in dollars, know that is corruption right there, because they should be arrested, because the legal tender is Naira. When they are asking for it in dollars, that means they want it to not to go in the system. They can soak that fund away and make away with it. This is madness.
Take out to they set a legal framework. Then of course we are doing something that is detrimental to us in the long term, right? And so when Mr. Ayodele, Taiwo Ayodele, chairman of the Presidential Committee on tax reform and all that, said that we were looking into that, but I think it's a welcome idea that no company in Nigeria should be made to pay dollars. Even foreign companies that are coming here, right? If they want to settle something, let them pay Naira, right? And because they are going to convert their dollars through the banking system.
Yes.
And so that dollar will stay within the banking system for the importation of capital goods and raw materials and all that. So it's a welcome idea.
Well, back to the forex challenges that you began talking about earlier, Mr. Williams. I wonder if you're following the conversation on the DSS investigation into forex fraud allegations leveled against the Asian oil giant Olam. The implications of that amid our conversation, and more importantly, how do you eliminate that interface between the Apex Bank and big-time manufacturers as this who require forex to import raw materials?
I can barely hear you, but what I understand from you is that you're talking about the forex deals that people were making.
The fraud allegations, forex fraud allegations leveled against the Indian oil giant, Singaporean rather, Olam, and the implications for the interface between the Apex Bank, CBN, and other big-time manufacturers who inevitably require forex to import their raw materials.
Exactly. This is a result of operating this dual currency market.
Madness.
When you create such markets, you create an arbitrage opportunity. People would always take advantage of the difference in the disparity in the two markets. So it's important that if you were to merge those two markets, right, these frauds are eliminated. You cannot buy today at 9:30 and then sell tomorrow at 9:20. You are going to lose money. So these are the things that they have to curtail. And then two, the CBN is not an authorized dealer in forex.
Exactly.
And they should understand that. CBN is not an authorized dealer. They are the custodians of our dollars.
Exactly.
And they sell the dollars to banks. The only authorized dealers in this country are the banks, the licensed banks. So there's no way, there's no reason why CBN will get into the middle of foreign exchange allocation directly to individual companies or to persons. It is wrong. It's absolutely wrong. And these are the things that the current investigator should be able to look at in order for them to, try and curb it and then even rewrite the policies of the central bank. Because there are so many things they do that are not fit for a central bank. A central bank cannot issue credit cards. They issued what they call AfriGo. It's a credit card. They could not have issued that under any circumstance. The central bank cannot go and begin to do what you call that digital currency, because it's not called for. So they should stay away from the arena of banking and conduct pure supervisory and regulatory functions.
Thank you.
They should not also go into lending.
Yeah, exactly.
They should not do that. And they should not be intervening in any of the markets. For example, they were running what they call an RT200 program, which meant that, in order to incentivize exporters to repatriate their dollars, they would not give them extra money.
Wow.
Don't do that. That's micromanaging, the entire process. You cannot do that.
And Mr. Williams, we can even expand it further to look at the debate over the propriety of the CBN also handling continuously the anchor borrowers program and the Naira program. But let's manage our time to look at the work of the Tax Reform Committee set against the backdrop of the mandate of the president that we must achieve 18% tax to GDP ratio, that we must tax the fruit rather than the seed. Does this mean, and if we also consider what the chairman of the Tax Reform Committee has said, does this mean that the workers' income, are going to, the payee on workers' income will be increased? Do workers have anything to worry about in that regard?
Well, that committee, I think, is fully equipped, particularly with Mr. Taiwo being at the head to handle, this matter. I have a great confidence in that, young man to be able to, drive, that entire process. He started out, right, by looking at the low-hanging fruits, things that he could accomplish in 30 days. And some of those things that he could accomplish in 30 days, from our perspective, is that, they could match the two markets. Number two, stop banks from settling remittances, inward remittances, with dollars. That they can do, within 30 days.
It's madness.
So the thing about the worker salaries and all that, I know that that committee, I'm sure, will be able to, deal with those issues.
Well, interestingly, my apologies, Mr. Williams, because we're completely out of time. Interestingly, one of the things Mr. Oyedele also mentioned is that their report is ready for the first 30 days, and they're only waiting for the president to give his perspectives, make it known, and then action can be taken. I'm certain we're going to have to call you again to have this conversation and take this further. But we have to thank you so much for your time this morning. Derego Williams is an economist and global strategist. Thank you so much for your time and thoughts today.
All right, thank you very much.
Great.
Yeah, we're back in a moment.
We just watched the concluding part of the interview by the economist and a strategist, Derego Williams. Very detailed analysis of the economy and how it can best function. And I think for those of us who are really keen on seeing a functioning nation, I am a Yoruba nationalist. through and through. I am. It is not going to materialize at this juncture. What is currently on ground now is the Tinubu administration in what we call Nigeria. What we want them to do is the ideas that this man has brought together, as I explained, in terms of the margin of the forex, in terms of LNG gases, so that we help our market, in terms of curbing the actions of the Central Bank of Nigeria. When the Central Bank should not be issuing any loans or any cards, or engaged in things that are transactional. Their job is regulatory. They're meant to ensure that they protect the legal tender of Nigeria and make sure it is given prominence. That is their role. They've abandoned that role, and they are joining in and making things worse. So please re-watch this video in its entirety. Derego Williams spoke eloquently, gave detailed analysis and way forward. That yes, the first 30-day suggestion is very good, like he suggested, and of course the panel put together in terms of for the economy. They said they've put those they've got a 30-day plan that they're waiting for the Tinubu to ratify. Great, but please, they should make sure that this. I urge them to watch the video from Derego Williams here, and really make sure that it really forms the main plank, the central plank of all the decisions that they're planning to take. And one more thing I'd like to add, we need to ensure that the federal government comes all out and ensures that the Central Bank of Nigeria reaffirms the status that under law, the only legal tender in Nigeria must be the Naira. The reason I'm saying that, let me show you before I wrap it up. If we do not take our currency seriously, this is what's going to happen to it. You see, 1 Naira is only what, 0.0013 of a cent. Of a cent, not $1, 0.0013. That means that your resources, however much great your resources are, the price that they're going to buy it, you are losing already. You are losing. This is unsustainable. We need to wake up. So I really want to thank, and I'm grateful we had the opportunity to listen to Derego Williams and the suggestions, the valid suggestions he made here. Something that the government should really, look into. He should be part of the advisory team for the government about how to restructure the economy and make it viable and functioning. I strongly recommend that he should be there if they're keen to really drive the nation forward. Anyway. Enough said on that. I just wanted to bring that to you, and I thought it was something we could look at and discuss at length. Please, I urge you, subscribe to Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Go ahead, subscribe, hit the notification button, give us thumbs up, help us reach more people. We really appreciate your support. But please, I want you to watch this video intensely, and really look at the things and the suggestions he came about. The forex margin is definitely something I support. The fact that our legal tender, it must be Naira, and the fact that how ensuring that it is used, it is the only currency that must be used in our country. The Central Bank of Nigeria must focus on its regulatory role, not going into issuing bank cards or loans or forexes. All of that, their job is to ensure that whatever it follows the laws of the land. Those funds that people coming to buy, they would sort of they bring in the forex, they hold the forex. When they now export, they export using our dollar. They pay to us in a Naira. They pay for our goods in Naira. That kind of thing. We make sure that within our country, the Naira is the only legal tender. I can't overemphasize this. We're losing money, trillions, like I said. So this is a very urgent matter. We are calling on the President Tinubu government to really address this, to take on board what Derego Williams said here. Very, very important points. Please watch this video again. And let's hear your thoughts and comments. You are, of course, watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'll be back later on. Please, when you get the broadcast, share, and share. subscribe, hit the notification button, and of course, give us thumbs up. I'll be back later on. What are your thoughts? Let's hear from you. The song you hear in the background is my song that I wrote. How long am I going to suffer? I'd really like you all to, go on iTunes and Spotify and download it. It's got a powerful message in it, and you'll be helping us in what we're trying to do. We're trying to do this, get a book, the Constitution translated into our major languages. I'm going to start with Yoruba. Being a Yoruba man, I want to start with that first. Make sure that Constitution is in Yoruba for all Yorubas to be able to understand the Constitution in their own language. Because we don't need to become to study English before you know your rights. What that is doing right now, there's the way the Constitution is framed is saying that without you knowing a foreign language, you cannot understand the laws that are governing you in your own land. That's an absurdity we need to address. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching this Naira, the platform where we speak truth. I'll be back later on. Please do share this podcast. Thank you for watching. I'll be back later on. Please subscribe, hit the notification button, and of course, give us a thumbs up. And of course, always share, share, and share. Thank you for watching. You're watching this Naira, the platform where we speak truth to power. I'll be back later on. Thank you and bye for now.